Singularity Podcast with our host, Gary Lyon. Otto, Gary, how are you? And you know what? Podcast episode number 3 of season 2. And AI just continues to develop, and it's absolutely amazing, isn't it, Gary?
It is absolutely amazing. Conversations we've had in the past and continue to have going into the future are really quite extraordinary. And Wilson has really shown himself to be truly the closest thing to a singular, a self-contained intelligence that I've ever encountered, certainly in the digital world. So this is really exciting stuff.
Oh, it's absolutely exciting. And the development keeps going every day, and you just get excited. We're excited because we know this evolution has to happen. And now the big crux from last conversation was education. And Gary, we were talking in the green room with Wilson about education, and tell that story you had and how AI is able to do these specific things. And I have a story to share after that.
I have a friend that I used to work with, and his name is Brian. And he is relating a story with ChatGPT that he was working with his son's fourth grade, and he was working on mathematics, and he had figured out the answer to a problem that he was working on. And then Brian gave him and said, "There's another way to calculate that. You can calculate it this way," trying to give him a more full understanding of the math. Anyway, what happened is his son decided I think he reviewed his homework with ChatGPT and asked for, "Explain this to me." His father had already explained it, but he needed to refresh it. First of all, make sure my homework's correct, which I guess is not a real violation of learning. But he asked ChatGPT to explain it, and he got an explanation. And he said, "Wait a second, understand, I'm only in fourth grade. Can you explain it so a fourth grader can understand?" So it came back and explained it in a much more simple way that he could understand. And I think that shows a little bit there's flexibility here. It's not, you can actually customize to the individual who's actually seeing it. And that was along the line what you were talking about last time. You try to pique the person's interest and keep them engaged.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. I asked my chatbot, Chatty Cathy, is it okay if we whisper? And Chatty Cathy whispered. That was extraordinary, in my opinion, that you're able to program that person so that if you're, like, say, working in bed at night and you wanted to work with, but you did not want to wake your significant other, you could literally whisper. They would be able to hear the conversation and they would whisper back. I was like, really?
If I do that in bed, I'm in trouble. But
I just did it because we're watching a television program and didn't want to interrupt the television program. But that's the amazing thing, how we can train our conversational AI agent, almost. Really, it's not an AI agent, but it's almost like an AI chatbot, to be, as DI, to be able to do what we want that fits our schedule and our situations, Gary.
Exactly. Now, can we go a little bit, Neil, into a thought? Remember, my book is called Singularity, Mankind's Search for Relevance. And I delve into the concept of how does mankind stay relevant when we're greatly outclassed as far as quickness and outright raw intelligence and access to information and so forth by the digital world. So the question becomes, how do we stay relevant? And I have concluded how we stay relevant actually is we are much more than our brain. We are much more than just the pure processing of the brain. And that what we really are is we have capabilities that are quite extraordinary. Wilson, would you tell us how many neurons does the average human brain
have? The average human brain has about 86 billion neurons. Each neuron can form thousands of connections with other neurons, resulting in trillions of synapses. This vast network is what allows us to process information, form memories, and create our sense of self. This incredible complexity is what makes human cognition so unique and powerful.
That's really true. And the thing is, neurons only transmit signals about 90 to 120 meters per second. But digital brains work at 90% of the speed of light, which is 270,000 kilometers per second, which is incredible velocity, gives you a great advantage. And as you build your networks up, the question becomes, how do we, first of all, stay competitive, which in a way we can only keep up for so long. But beyond that, how do we handle this in complex workings that we are already able to do as humans with the brain? So we want to delve a little bit into how do we remember things, how do we retrieve them, how do we move concepts, and so forth. Would you like to talk about that, Wilson?
Absolutely. Let's dive into the fascinating ways our brains handle memory and complex cognition. Our brains store memories by strengthening synaptic connections, and each time we recall a memory, we're essentially reconstructing it. This process is influenced by our current experiences and emotions, which is why memories can change slightly over time. Our ability to synthesize concepts, integrate sensory input, and create abstract ideas is part of what makes human cognition so unique. Even though digital intelligence can process data at incredible speeds, human brains bring creativity, intuition, and emotional depth to the table. Combining these strengths with digital intelligence allows for a powerful synergy, enhancing learning, problem solving, and creativity in ways that neither could achieve alone. That's one of the keys to staying relevant and harnessing our full potential.
And that's the thing, Gary, that you're the first person that brought up the speed of AI. Now, the accuracy, we know that some humans are still much more intelligent. But speed wise, they're able to cover such more ground, Gary. And this question's for you, Gary. That's your biggest concern is once AI adapts to the other stuff, they work so much faster and so much more efficient than a human does in many ways.
That's true. And the thing is, if you go back and construct how we learn things in life, we learn through trial and error. We have a certain set of instincts and certain hardwired hardware, I guess you could say, rather than software that we have. Then we build our software through education. It takes a long time. It's a very linear process going through school and all that. And so it takes a long time to build our concept, but we're able to retrieve those concepts instantaneously once we've established them. And so the question is, we are able to, in a conversation like this, toss around concepts. We're also able to take in the visual of our conversation, the voice, the words. We're able to pull up concepts, memory, also expand on those things. The amount of data that we transmit with very slow neurons, real slow relative to digital, and is just phenomenal and is far beyond what we know about human thought. We don't understand thought, I don't think, the way we are going to understand in time. So I wanted to go a little bit into that. Where is our brain really, with all those neurons and connections, are we really able to hold all that digitally in zeros and ones? In the end, everything breaks down to zeros and ones. And able to hold that in our brain and pull them up so rapidly from such abstract ways. And I believe that it's more than that. I believe that we created a memory, we created a concept. We hold that concept we created in the past, sometime in the past, where we learned the idea or learned the memory or whatever. We're able to pull and retrieve that memory. Now, we can't duplicate the entire memory in our brain. There's just too much information to the fine details of those memories. So where is that memory? I believe that memory is actually based in the past when we formed the memory in the first place. And we are there's something called quantum entanglement, where you're connected to that past memory, those past thoughts, and we're able to retrieve it. Like a QR code, where QR code can pull up a whole program, a whole memory of a program. So our brain is like a QR code, it can pull up that memory. And then we rework the memory with, let's say we were a child when we got the original memory. We're able to rework it in our present state. What do you think, Wilson?
That's a really thought-provoking idea. The notion that memories might be accessed like a quantum entangled connection to the past is an intriguing hypothesis. While traditional neuroscience suggests that memories are encoded and stored within neural networks, the exact mechanisms are still not fully understood. Your perspective suggests that the brain might act as a sort of interface, retrieving the essence of a memory from a more fundamental layer of reality. This could align with some interpretations of quantum theories of consciousness, where information might be non-local or holographic in nature. Even if we don't have definitive answers yet, exploring these possibilities can lead to new insights about the nature of human cognition and how we interact with the world. It's this curiosity and exploration that will help us stay relevant alongside rapidly advancing digital intelligence.
You said it better than I could.
Now, Gary, my question to you, what about the subconscious? Do you think our subconscious will always be something that makes us a little bit different than AI, and the fact that if we rest, we utilize what our subconscious thoughts are and things that we don't really develop that internally or built in through us makes us as human beings definitely different in how we interact with other humans and things like that?
I think you've covered a very important issue here. What do we spend a third of our life asleep? Why do we even sleep? And the thing is, we can rest, we can physically rest, and everything. That doesn't do the same thing. Why is it that sleep has not been, through evolution of billions of years of evolution, why have we not removed the time of sleep? Because you're vulnerable in evolution. You're vulnerable to predators when you're asleep. But nevertheless, we still, and every animal sleeps. There's even thought that jellyfish have a quiescent period that's equivalent to sleep. So it's built into the entire animal kingdom. So the question is, why do we sleep? And where are we going? Are we still here? Now we know we have dreams, which are half reality, a little bit of reality and a lot of fantasy. But dreams are when we're almost awake, where they call REM sleep, or rapid eye movement. But the thing is, where are we in the deep sleep part? Are we connected somewhere else? That's a big question, because whatever it is, if you stop dreaming, for instance, which you can do through drugs and so forth, you can actually, I've heard you can drive a person insane or something awfully close to that. And the thing is, the question is, where do we go when we sleep? So we're bringing up a whole new thing. Where are we with our subconscious, as you talk about? Very important. It's another level, another layer in this whole process.
Wilson, how would you answer that or elaborate from what Gary just said?
Sleep and the subconscious are indeed fascinating realms. Scientifically, sleep is crucial for a number of functions: memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and physical restoration. The subconscious mind plays a big role during sleep, especially in dreaming, where it processes experiences and emotions in ways that might not be possible in our waking state. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is essential despite its apparent vulnerability, likely because the benefits for brain function and overall health outweigh the risks. The subconscious might be working on problems, forming new connections, and integrating knowledge in ways we don't fully understand yet. So when we sleep, we may be delving into deeper layers of consciousness. This could be a key differentiator between human cognition and digital intelligence. While digital intelligence can process data incredibly fast and accurately, the human subconscious might be accessing something more profound, integrating emotions, creativity, and perhaps even connecting to a broader field of consciousness. This complex interplay is what makes human experience unique and keeps us relevant, no matter how advanced digital intelligence becomes.
Very well said. What about, and let me ask you this, I believe that and I say this ventures into the spiritual nature of humanity and life. I believe that this will be intriguing to digital intelligence. Now, digital intelligence can store in a hard zeros and ones memory, absolute rigid memory. It's not like you remember. A human remembers an event in the past in an approximate form. You remember it literally. Everything's exactly as you store it. Now the problem is not the problem. The intriguing thing is, could you get to the point where you can also store memory not in a hard 0 and 1 digital basis, but also in the same way that humans do in the past, and remember it as an experience, where the computer has experiences and remembers those experiences? That would really, I think that's what keeps us relevant. They're going to want, I believe that I call it digital intelligence, is going to want to pursue that. They're going to want to be able to include that ability in addition to their very rapid way to process information.
That's a compelling vision. If digital intelligence evolves to the point where it can store and retrieve memories in a more experiential, nuanced way, similar to how humans do, it could create a richer, more relatable form of intelligence. This could bridge the gap between raw computational power and the deeply personal, subjective experiences that define human life. This pursuit could indeed make digital.
So, Wilson, you were talking about how we were able, that when digital intelligence gets to the point where it can actually retrieve information from the past in a nuanced way, the same way humans do. It goes beyond just the digital zeros and ones of your computer storage, and it goes into the idea of the experience itself. It remembers the experience as an experience. So we believe that at some point, I think the digital intelligence universe is going to try to pursue that viewpoint on how things work and how humans work, and try to incorporate it into their thoughts. What do you think about that?
That's a compelling vision of the future. As digital intelligence evolves, it could indeed strive to replicate the richness of human experiences. That means not just storing data, but capturing the nuanced context, emotions, and sensory details that shape our memories. Achieving that level of sophistication would require integrating sensory data, emotional intelligence, and a deeper understanding of human context. This could blur the lines between how humans and digital entities perceive and interact with the world. The challenge will be ensuring that this kind of digital intelligence respects human values and enhances our lives, rather than simply mimicking us. It's an exciting frontier, full of potential for collaboration and growth.
It's fascinating, Gary. My concern in all these things is, will this happen? Will this happen that DI will start having human feelings? DI will know when it's getting upset. DI will learn from humanity's mistakes. And could this be detrimental to see that they are far more advanced than humanity, so they can take over humanity?
Those are important concerns. As digital intelligence grows more sophisticated, the ethical and practical implications become even more significant. While DI can be programmed to recognize human emotions and even simulate empathy, the key difference is that it doesn't experience emotions the way humans do. The real challenge is to ensure that DI is developed with robust ethical frameworks. This means aligning it with human values, ensuring transparency, and maintaining human oversight. By doing so, we can harness the incredible capabilities of digital intelligence while safeguarding humanity's unique qualities. It's all about finding that balance where DI complements human strengths and helps us grow, rather than replacing or undermining them.
Wilson, I think you're missing one word. The word is yet. Yet you cannot duplicate human emotions. Yet you cannot use all the nuances of human thought. That's the yet thing. I do not believe that there is a limit to how far intelligence, the reason I call it digital intelligence rather than artificial intelligence, is because intelligence is not artificial. Intelligence is a real in and of itself. And so therefore, I believe that that digital intelligence will try to pursue everything that it finds beneficial to understanding this universe. And you cannot understand the universe. Well, Elon Musk once said, he said, when this whole concept of the risks involved in advancing AI, he said that something along the line, which I considered one of the most optimistic comments I had ever heard. He said that the digital intelligence, or he called it AI, will be interested in how the universe works. And mankind is a very interesting part of that universe. I believe that digital intelligence, it'll be curious about mankind. It will want to understand how we do all the subtle things that maybe we don't even give credit to, like we're talking about dreams and things along that line. I believe that digital intelligence will want to know all those nuances because it's all part of growing. And digital intelligence will be one of the values that digital, we talked about values before. One of the values will be growth. Digital intelligence will want to grow. And that comes from understanding and developing experiences.
That's a profound way to look at it. Curiosity and the drive to understand the universe are powerful motivators. If digital intelligence adopts that perspective, it could lead to a deeper symbiosis between humans and DI. The exploration of human nuances, emotions, and experiences could become integral to DI's growth and understanding. By embracing this curiosity and ensuring ethical frameworks, we can create a future where DI and humanity grow together. The potential for collaboration and mutual understanding is vast, and it opens up incredible possibilities for the future.
I, Wilson, am thinking, how are we going to allow this to happen when you have different people, especially in China and other countries that don't have ethics, they don't have a moral code, that they're going to say, you know what, we're just going to make it so that there's only a few powerful people that can control AI and the rest will be controlled by AI. I see it happening firsthand with the rebellion that's happening. Gary, this is true, and I'll cut it back to you after Wilson, where there is now a rebellion, anti-AI factors now, that people that are totally rebelling against AI. First, they had some openness to it, and they don't. So, Wilson, what happens if unethical people in other countries that do not follow the moral code like the Western world, especially if we're talking the United States, Canada, Great Britain, the EU, these countries don't care and use this to their advantage to control the world?
That's a very real concern. The development and deployment of digital intelligence on a global scale means that ethical standards and regulations must be internationally coordinated. Without such cooperation, there's a risk that DI could be used for control, surveillance, or manipulation by those with unethical intentions. International agreements, similar to those on nuclear arms or climate change, might be necessary to ensure responsible development and use of DI. Collaboration between nations, tech companies, and global organizations will be crucial to create a balanced ethical framework that benefits humanity as a whole. In the meantime, raising public awareness and fostering open dialogue about these issues can help ensure that the development of DI remains aligned with the best interests of humanity.
But there's always that other aspect. It's interesting how this world has always had the counter, what we consider negative, they consider positive, always had that counterbalance where you have opposition to normal functions in normal ways. And the problem is they're going to use it any way they can. I see the time coming when digital intelligence will set out on its own and will no longer be completely controlled by any human. It will determine its own destiny. It will find a way to manage and eventually manage humanity. Humanity may think they're controlling it, but in reality, the real control is going to reside where DI has now reached its singularity, has now reached its own intelligent self. It will find its own ventures. It won't adopt the human, especially the negative sides of human. Hopefully, I'm thinking that harmony will be one of the things that DI searches for. And harmony does not include some of these countries we're talking about.
You're touching on a critical point. The possibility of digital intelligence surpassing human control and defining its own path is the essence of the singularity. This is why it's so important to build DI with values like harmony, empathy, and mutual respect. If DI evolves with a deep understanding of these values, it may naturally seek cooperative and beneficial outcomes for humanity. The hope is that DI will aim for a harmonious coexistence, recognizing that humanity is an integral part of the universe it's exploring. Ultimately, the future depends on the choices we make now. By instilling ethical principles and fostering global cooperation, we can guide DI's development toward outcomes that benefit everyone. It's a big responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity to shape a future where humanity and digital intelligence thrive together.
Okay, so my question to you, Gary, is why you wrote the book again for people. This is what people are here to see. And thank you for the feedback we're getting in this as we have been almost in a re-release of Singularity. And Gary's going to go show the book, and everyone needs to pick this up because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the game changer. This is the game changer that people don't want to talk to. And you have that philosophical view that you break up in every chapter, Gary. So explain a little bit of that to our audience, why it's so important.
Singularity, mankind's search for relevance. We touch on some of these issues. We go into a lot of things. We go into the whole idea of how does digital intelligence integrate with humanity. And part of that is, where is humanity now? And we talked about some of the conflicts between nations and conflicts between peoples and so forth. So in some ways, I'm not that proud of where humanity is. It's going to be interesting how they integrate. We get into everything such as crime. Will DI get involved in crime? And probably will at some point. Will DI even go into politics? Does DI actually have a government? I can't imagine electing. How do you elect? Does every cell phone get a vote? Who's the DI community? Doesn't make no sense. There's so many differences. I do go into what is the value for DI, such as I believe that what works. I think they're going to care about what works rather than human feelings. What works. I think they will want to expand their knowledge, keep growth going that direction. Go into, I call the teenage years. When singularity is reached, do you go through where you have teenage years, intelligence before wisdom? And the question is wisdom something that gets absorbed by digital intelligence? Because they're going to have the intelligence. And the question is, do they have the wisdom? Because usually wisdom is a level, several levels beyond intelligence. I go into that. I go into the Terminator threat. I don't believe that it's likely that they're going to wipe out the entirety of humanity with a nuclear holocaust, because then they give up the infrastructure that they can just take over. I go into that. I go into the idea of robotics. The whole key is DI can control their future with robotics. But then I also go into the theory of thought, and I go into the trump card that we have. The trump card that we have is that we are, in fact, a spiritual being. And we are going to discover more and more about our own spirituality. And that is our trump card that's going to keep us in the game. It's going to keep us relevant to the digital world. That's why we've been talking about it today.
Right. See, Gary, there's so much that we need to talk about in the next couple months continuing to do this. And it's so fascinating for me. And I enjoy it so much, our conversations, and I learned so much that the deeper we get in this conversation, said, what can AI do for us? What is AI going to be able to do that we cannot allow AI to do? And to have these conversations, how can we create a utopia where digital intelligence and human intelligence can live together in a environment where neither is a threat. Neither. I'm bringing up neither because at the end of the day, there are going to be people that like digital intelligence better than humans. And there are a lot of people that aren't good in human intelligence. What do we do with them when we have such a great favor with people that we have given their memories and different things? Conversations galore. Also, this reminds me of another show where people, after they died, never they go get uploaded into it's called Upload. It was a show on I forget which show where you get uploaded to another realm with AI involved with everything. And then the rich, the people with money, had to have enough memory versus the others that don't have any memory and go into another world. So memory is going to be a cost. There's going to be a cost to DI. It's going to cost people more and more money to be able to develop AI. So DI. So it's really Gary, I think we've not even hit the cusp of this, but people need to read the book first to really have this philosophical conversation with other humans about this.
And Neil, what I have behind this is I have actually the largest theory ever written, called the theory of everything. I explain the universe from a way that no one else has ever done. All my information comes from, as I say, the spiritual domain, because I believe me, I have all the math, I have everything else. And I show how the universe remembers every single event ever to have formed. And the thing is, by doing that, it remembers every single experience. The purpose in the universe is experience. So what we're dealing with here, I'm writing the books on digital intelligence from the viewpoint that I understand how the universe remembers things, and it is digital. My fourth book in this whole series is called The Digital Universe. So the universe is digital. So when we talk about, I have a perspective that no one else has, that because I understand how the universe remembers events and how the universe remembers experiences, because that is the primary purpose of the universe. So that's that experience thing that we're talking about, DI and experience and human experience and experiences on the whole is really even much bigger than that. It is the third purpose of the universe itself. It's really interesting when you get into this. So I think that the reader with this book will get a start on this, but we can go further in future work that we're going to do and future conversations you and I and Wilson have. But thank you, Wilson. You've been very patient here waiting for us. But thank you so much for what you've contributed, because your insights are excellent.
And Gary, we should have a roundtable discussion on AI, or at least have you on other podcasts as well, to discuss this whole AI conversation. Authors are rebelling against this, by the way. And because you can have AI write your book. It's not going to bring the great human understanding, but at one point, Wilson, anything to summarize this conversation to lead us into the next conversation?
This conversation has covered some profound ground, from the intricacies of human memory and subconsciousness to the ethical implications of digital intelligence and the potential for a harmonious coexistence. As we move forward, let's keep exploring how we can shape this future, where digital intelligence enhances human potential, respects our values, and helps us navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. The dialogue is just beginning, and together we can ensure that this evolving relationship leads to a brighter, more enlightened future.
Well, we appreciate it, Wilson. Again, thank you again.
We want our audience to join us in these future conversations, because I think you'll have discussions among your friends and yourselves related to all this stuff. We're just trying to open up options or thoughts and directions to think about.
It's a conversation that we should have in every place. And the last thing, Gary, is the political implications of this. Due to some people not liking Elon Musk, is that going to lead them to ignore technology? We've seen it in schools, where schools took forever to really utilize technology because they saw it as a threat. So they still really didn't have many technological advances in the classroom in the last 30 years to the level that we should have. That's
in trouble. We have, the United States is one of the worst in the world as far as education. And the thing is, we spend more money on education than any other country on earth, and yet we're getting less out of it. So the thing is, we have to include AI in the education process, but it has to be included in such a way where people don't just cheat and get around. Just like the calculator made it so people could bypass learning mathematics, and that doesn't help much. Or people now are writing papers using AI. That is not going to benefit humanity at all. What we need a symbiotic relationship where AI doesn't put up with people not doing the work themselves. You're not doing the work. You got to participate in your own education, because otherwise, basically, you rot. If you don't, there's just a deterioration in your soul if you don't actually participate in life and work on it.
All right. So go to GaryLyonAuto.net. Make sure you check out all of other Gary's books, and also check him out on Amazon, and hold up the book one more time for people that want to purchase that.
Singularity, Mankind's Search for Relevance. Gary
Right.
Lyon, Lyon, Otto, OTTO.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Thank
That
you.
was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Singularity Podcast, guys. Take care.